Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going into a bit more detail about how I plan to tackle my TBR in 2022. Well, that's a lot of T's. It's been a goal for many years of mine to try and decrease my TBR, and every year I end up increasing it. And I think it's just because I've not thought through how I'm actually going to go about doing it. I've just set it as a vague goal and then not stuck to it. If you've had any kind of teaching experience, you'll probably have come across SMART goals, where you need to make your goals specific, measurable, achievable. I can never remember what R is. Relevant, maybe? And time restricted. So because I've not set out clear guidelines of how to achieve that goal, I've never actually managed to do that, and my TBR just keeps increasing every year. So this year, along with some friends, there's a little group of us that are dedicated to getting our TBRs down. This was set up by my friend Amber from Books of Amber. Our group chat is called TBR Takedown. And it's really good to have that mutual encouragement and support as we try and tackle our goals and sometimes also fail at them. So I've got various ways that I'm going to attempt to get this TBR down this year. I'm going to go through a little bit what that's going to look like, what my specific aims are, and how I'm going to achieve them. So I mentioned, if you've watched my 2022 goals video, my 2021 wrap up and 2022 goals video, I've mentioned this briefly, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail about it here. The goal specifically is to get the TBR down, to aim for 50% of my books to be from my backlist. That's either physical or digital backlist. My physical TBR at the start of the year was on 675 books. I would love to get that below 600. I don't know if I'll actually get it all the way below 600, but much closer to 600 would be good. And my digital TBR started off at 129. I'd like to get that below 100, which I think is much more achievable because a lot of those books are from NetGalley, and I'm on a requesting ban at the moment until I read through some of my NetGalley backlist. To do this, there are several angles at which I'm going to attack this goal from. The first one is being a bit more strategic about what books I'm buying. So having my book budget has helped me curb my book buying to an extent, but part of the problem last year was that I was buying a lot of cheap books secondhand, particularly from charity shops, and then they just get added to the TBR and not read. I only read about 26% of the books that I bought last year. I bought 81 books and I read 21 of them. That works out on roughly 6 to 7 books a month on average I was buying. And when I'm reading on average, it was a little bit higher than last year, but I would say my standard is 10 books a month. And I'm adding that many books to my TBR. I'm just not getting through them. So my goal is to save up my book budget to buy specific books that will help me towards reading goals, specifically to buy books to carry on series. And I'm aiming to buy only 1 or 2 books per month. Now, there are some exclusions to this. There are always the books that don't fit into my book budget. So I still have 2 book subscriptions, one to Ninja Book Box, which is a quarterly subscription, all books from independent publishers. But in addition to those, I do tend to buy their bonus boxes. So they've done the little box of hope was last year, and then they did a summer reading box and an advent box. I need to think really carefully about whether and how I include those additional boxes, because last year I didn't include them in the book budget, and maybe that's one way of keeping that down as well, is to, if I want to get the additional boxes outside of the regular subscription, maybe I need to think about, should that come out of my book budget? It probably should. My other subscription is to Perrine Press, which is an independent publisher, and they produce 3 books a year. And I have a relatively good track record of reading those because they also help with my translated fiction goal. So while I don't have a specific goal for reading translated fiction this year, if I carry on reading Perrine books, then that will help. So I'm going to keep both of those. The other books that don't count in my book budget are books I need to buy for book club, but I've been trying to get those out from the library over buying them if I can. And when I suggest books from book club, I try and suggest books that I already own, or ones that I was already intending to buy or had on pre-order, that sort of thing. And then the other one is, if I need to buy books for uni, they don't come out of the budget, and I have to read quite a lot for my research, and books that are a bit more niche that I can't get from the college library or the public library. So I will continue to have to buy those, but I'm going to try and buy them secondhand where I can, and actually not buy loads in advance when I need to read them. So outside of that, I'm going to be using my book budget to specifically aim to buy books for a specific reason, either, for example, to carry on a series. If it's an author that I particularly love, that I want to support them, then that will be a reason to buy the books. I'm going to try not to pre-order anything, because you tend to pay more for books if you're pre-ordering them, but also, yeah, to wait until I'm ready to read them to buy them. I would like my percentage for that to be a heck of a lot higher this year. I'd like to have read the majority of books that I've bought this year within the year. So we'll see how that goes. Aiming for, yeah, maximum a couple of books, 1 or 2 books a month seems much more reasonable than 6 books a month. So to get the TBR down, I came across a really helpful article from an indie publisher called Inspired Quill about tackling the TBR, which I will link in the description box for you so you can go and check it out. But one of the ideas that I really liked on that was to come up with mini TBR lists rather than just a massive list of 675 books. It is a bit overwhelming. So to break it down into smaller lists hopefully is going to help me to tackle the TBR a bit more. And I certainly found this last year when I nominated a number of series that I wanted to try and work through. Even though I didn't finish all the series on the list, I did finish more series than I have in previous years because I was focused on working through series. Hopefully, even just by nominating books that I'm aiming to get to, even if I don't necessarily read these books, it helps me think about reading within these categories, if that makes sense. So the categories that I've gone for are oldest books on my TBR, which is a long-standing one, but I really am determined to try and get some of these books finished this year. Series, again, series that I want to work through and finish, and the majority of the series on the list are ones where I own most of the books already. Books from subscription boxes. As I just mentioned, I have a couple of subscription boxes. I used to have subscriptions to a couple of other publishers as well. So I have selected a number of books that I've got from subscription boxes in the past that I haven't read yet. And then there is one more category. Almost finally, books that have been given to me, because if you remember if you watched my stats video for 2021, I was given 41 books last year and I only read 3 of them, and that's just doesn't feel okay. I mean, some of them were just like general, my dad clears out a lot of books every year and gives me a lot of them, any of the ones that I want from when he's cleared them out. But I had books that were specifically given to me for birthdays, for Christmas, from friends just being generous, and to be given them and then not read them just feels a little bit ungrateful. So that's one of my goals as well. And then finally, the last category is review books. So what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is you'll see videos of me actually listing what those books are. Most of the lists let's see. There are 12 series on the series I want to finish list. There are 18 books on the oldest books on my TBR list, 11 physical and 7 digital, and there's 20 books on the gifted books list and 20 books on the subscription books list. For those last 2, I've gone through my spreadsheets of books that I've acquired over the years and made a massive spreadsheet that contains all of them, and then I've picked the ones that are currently available to me, as in not in storage, that are easiest for me to get through. And even then I had more that I could access that didn't make it onto the list for both of those categories. My goal is to try and read at least 1 book from each of these lists each month, preferably more than that if I can. It would depend how much I'm able to read, and also at the moment I've got quite a few library books out, so I'm trying to balance that as well at the moment, but we'll see how we get on for that. Yeah, so if I manage to finish all of the books on each of those lists, it will take about 60 books off my physical TBR. And for NetGalley or review books I want to read to a month, if I manage to do that, then that should take my digital TBR down to nearly below my goal of 100. And will also help boost my NetGalley percentage, because that's the other thing. I want to get my NetGalley ratio up. I'm on a NetGalley requesting ban at the moment. I'm on a low buy for books. I am still going to be using the library because it is better to borrow the books than buy them, particularly if it's authors I'm not sure about, like new authors to me, or series that I don't particularly mind not owning them, or at least not owning them right away. Then I'm gonna read them from the library first and then buy them at a later date when I want to reread them, because buying books that I've already read isn't so bad because they don't add to my TBR then. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. It's ended up being quite short, but I don't want to go into those long lists in this video. I'm going to do separate lists to help hold myself accountable and to give you more content. So at some point soon you'll see a breakdown of each of those lists, what books are on there, what books I'm aiming to get to this year from each of those lists. And yeah, hopefully this video and those videos will help me be a bit more accountable to my TBR tackling goal. We'll see how we get on. Thank you for watching. Let me know what tips you have or what you're trying to do if you're trying to tackle your TBR as well. What is helping you with setting those goals? Any advice that you might have on how to get through your TBR and get it down? At the moment, I can't really unhaul stuff from my TBR because most of it is in storage. So that will be something I'll look at doing next year when I get all my books out of storage. There are a few that I know, or I'm fairly sure now, that I have in storage that I probably don't want to read, but until I get them out of storage and like go through them, I can't be sure definitely either way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get through these books predominantly through actually reading them. I'm also more comfortable with DNFing now as well. Now that I've allowed myself to get credit for DNFing in my book budget, I'm more likely to decide if I'm not enjoying a book just to put it down and unhaul it than to persevere and waste time over it. I've sidetracked myself again. Yeah, so let me know some of your goals, some of your ways of tackling your TBR, how you're attempting to do that, if that's something you're attempting to do. Or you can also let me know of some of your other goals for reading in 2022 if you'd like to, or if you'd just like to let me know that you've been here, you can leave me let's just go for the stack of books emoji, because we're talking about getting through stacks and stacks of books. So you can leave me a stack of books emoji in the comments if you'd just like to let me know that you've been watching today. You can also like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can also follow me on my social media. All that information is listed in the description box below for you. But that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.